Hello and welcome to the Alliance Pro Wrestling Network special interview. I'm Lewis Carlin for Bodyslam.net. Very excited today because I have a guest that's joining me again on the show. Very excited. He's the Seaway Valley Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. Want to make sure I get this all in. Courage Pro Next Gen Champion. He's made appearances for Ring of Honor, GCW, numerous indies, including Limitless Wrestling, C4, Beyond Wrestling, IWS. He's an indie sensation. Very happy to welcome back the hot stepper, Macrae Martin. Macrae, welcome back to the show, man.
Lewis, thank you for having me back on. It's always a pleasure to be in the chair in my own home and the chair in your own home together doing this thing.
Hey, the pleasure is all mine, man. Now you hold another title, but I was afraid I was going to mispronounce it. What's the other title that you're holding? I apologize. I didn't want to mispronounce it, but there is one other title that you have.
That's okay. It is the Au Summit de la Lutte Championship.
Oh, I would have pronounced it. I wasn't sure if it was Summit or Sommet, so I it was but yeah, but that's three titles you have. Like I said, you're an indie sensation. So let's talk about your appearance with Ring of Honor. You recently appeared on Ring of Honor, teaming with Rip Impact, Zach Patterson against Stu Grayson and the Righteous. What was that experience like being in a Ring of Honor ring?
Uh, Mind blowing. Like, I've been watching Ring of Honor since I was probably 18 years old. That's when I was 18 when I started to really get into the independent scene in wrestling and coming across promotions like Ring of Honor, Impact, and all those things. And um, you when you get out there, you walk through like you just walk beside the ramp, so you're not seen, and then you get into the ring. And then when you're in the ring, the lights are on, you see all the fans around,
Yeah.
and it's just like it's incredible. And then you look up and you see like the big Titantron, and you're like, whoa, like this is legit. And so
Mhm.
I was just there. I was just soaking it all in. And it was cool because I got recognized by the Hamilton crowd from my time with Courage Pro and other promotions in Southern Ontario. And so I was hearing hot stepper, hot stepper.
Yeah,
And so
awesome.
like, it really just was, it was a magical moment. After when the bell rang, it was a bit of a different story. Got got a
Yeah.
little blindsided by the righteous and my trainer, Stu Grayson, like, he has to act cool when he's at work. He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
I don't have students. Bam. So I understand it. I get it. But yeah, overall, like it was a awesome experience, and also being backstage with all those guys, getting to talk with some of the wrestlers, and also, hanging out with the guys you usually see in the locker room. Um, and yeah, like I hope to do it again.
So who was some of the talent that you were speaking to backstage? Did you have any conversations with like a CM Punk or a Chris Jericho? Who did you get to speak to?
So it's funny you bring those two names exactly because I'm also like I'm very much like I don't want to be in their way. They don't want to. I don't want to be in their way. I want
Yeah.
to like keep my distance. But we were walking down the hall, and I made eye contact with CM Punk,
Oh.
and I we it just happened at the same time, and I was just like, "Hello, sir." And then he said hello, and then I just walk like, "Oh God, I'm so awkward." But then for Jericho, so because the camera team and the production team have to prepare what they're going to do for the entrances. So I was a stand-in for Jericho, so I had to do his entrance, and Jericho was in the ring planning his match. So I was so scared. I was like, "Oh my God, I can't mess this up." I'm like, what does Jericho do? Oh, he walks and he holds a bat. Okay, I can do that. But yeah, that was like, that was such a nerve-wracking experience. Um, and then they're like, okay, so go to the bottom of the ramp, stop at the steps, and then we should be good. And so like I'm walking, and then I stop at the ring steps, and I think it's Britt Baker and Ruby Soho, I think. And like they're sitting on the ring steps, and they just look at me like, "Do you need us to move?" I'm like, "I don't think so." And they told me to stop here, and it was just like this awkward conversation. I'm like, "Why am I so awkward?" But but yeah, and then like I got to talk to some guys who have seen like my original trainer, Matt Lee, Jeff Parker, they were there.
Okay.
Trent Seven, who his time spent in Ontario, we got to get to know each other.
Okay.
Um and then for the most part, just kind of like hi and everything to to people. But yeah, like again, like it was a really cool experience.
So how did that all come about? How did you get that appearance, man?
So for to get backstage and like to be invited to be an extra, Evil Uno put my name forward, and I got an email shortly after saying, "Hey, you've been invited to the AEW tapings for in Hamilton." And so I got to be backstage, and then for that the Ring of Honor match specifically, I mean, I had a little bit of an in with Stu. You know, he picked me. He's like, "Hey, I want to wrestle you." He tried to pick Junior, but for some reason Junior's name wasn't on the list of people who were supposed to be at the tapings or something. It
Okay.
was like a weird like mix like logistical mix up or whatever. But that's how Zach Patterson got in, and then Rip Impact. I mean, hometown boy, you gotta put him. Oh man, the pop
Yeah.
for Rip was insane. And that was
Okay.
also really cool. But that's kind of how that all came about. So, and I appreciate that, which is because I don't ask for handouts. I never want the reason that I get success to be because Evil Uno and Stu Grayson got it for me. I want it to be because I earned it. But it's always nice to like, you know, but they also see that we put in the work, like Junior and myself, and they want to reward us. So it's cool that they did that for us.
Yeah, I know you got excited when you saw your face on the Ring of Honor graphic. I know you posted about that. You were super. That must have been a thrill to see that, man.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I was like, well, because the match was so short and everything, I was like, oh, I don't know if we'll get a graphic, and then all of a sudden I see a Ring of Honor. There's my face, and I'm like, whoa, and like it just looks it's just so cool. I was like, man, like I'm on a Ring of Honor graphic. Like, if nothing else happens, I have a graphic, and so that was a cool thing that I get to cherish forever.
Yeah, but now that you've been in the Ring of Honor ring, how badly do you want to get back there?
So badly. So badly. I want the next time I get in there, even if it's in the same position of like, oh, I'm an extra and they bring me in, I'm cool with that, but I want to be in better shape, have a better look, whatever it is, the next time I get in there. And so that's what I'm striving for.
Well, your look is fine. I mean, you really need a better look. I
Oh,
mean, you're an indie sensation, in my opinion, man.
well, thank you. I
Sure.
appreciate that. And I where I'm at, I am very happy with where I'm at with, I have long luscious hair. It's
Yeah,
good. I got
I'm
new
kind of
gear.
jealous. I'm kind of jealous of that. I don't have the long luscious hair.
Hey, but you still have hair.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the main
It's
thing.
it's turning gray though. That's why I wear the hat. So, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It,
I didn't mean to cut you off.
you age like a fine wine, Lewis.
Oh my God, thank you. I'm gonna stop blushing. Thank you.
Um, but yeah, and I'm happy with my look and where I'm at right now. But I'm very much a person that like I always want to constantly progress. I always want to get better. Like the if I'm at C4 in May, I want to look better and be better when I'm there in June. Or like with Ring of Honor, like I had this look I had where I'm at in June, and whenever they come back to Canada, I want to be in even better shape. I want to look even better. I want to have even more luscious hair.
Okay.
So that's kind of the thing. I always want to show that, hey, he's putting the work in. He's always getting better. He's always ready for that next TV appearance.
So, is there anybody in Ring of Honor that, given the opportunity, you'd like to step in the ring with?
Ooh, that's a good question. Definitely Stu and Uno for
Okay.
sure. I mean, I would love it if Junior and I we got to square up with Dark Order. I mean, that's always a given. For a favorite wrestler aspect, if you had, I know House of Black, they occasionally appear in Ring of Honor. So if we did Junior and I against Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black, or myself versus Malachi Black, I would probably mark out because Malachi is my favorite wrestler, and he has
Okay.
been for a few years.
Okay.
Um, oh, or Top Flight. Top Flight is another team that's in Ring of Honor that if Junior and I got in there with, I mean, love to do a little something with them.
Okay, now you mentioned Junior Benito numerous times. For people watching, they don't know you guys make up a team called Fresh Air. Terrific, terrific tag team. You appeared on a few GCW shows. I want to talk about this match in particular, IWS versus GCW. You and Junior Benito, Fresh Air took on Jordan Oliver, Nick Wayne, East West Express. Terrific match. Your thoughts on Oliver and Wayne?
I mean, what else can you say besides two of the best on the independents right now? I mean, Nick Wayne now signed.
Yeah,
He was signed at 16, but now
16,
is
yeah.
officially contracted at 18. Um, and you watch him wrestle, like it's not even just the moves, it's all the in between stuff. He's so talented. And Jordan Oliver, just to see his progression, like I met him back in 2018, and he was starting to get a little bit of a buzz, but now like he is skyrocketing. He's so good. And so I knew that for Junior and I going into that match, we really had to bring our best. And we had to show that, okay, or this was our test to be like, okay, can we hang with guys around our age who are at this level? And I feel like we held up our own. And that was kind of the match where, because Junior and I still that our us tagging is still relatively fresh, no pun intended.
Okay.
Uh, but it was after that match that things are were starting to click. Like things were starting to come together, and I'm grateful for that match, and I hope that we get to do it again.
Yeah, how did you come up with the name Fresh Air? I was always thinking about that.
So I this is even like this is before the pandemic where the idea of Junior and I tagging was kind of like in the infancy stage. And I was trying to because at the time, I had the big colorful tracksuits and similar backdrop to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and we're both high flyers, and I was doing the breakdance. I still do the breakdancing gimmick, but
Yeah.
it was more flamboyant at the time. So it's like, what's a cool thing that we could link? It's like fresh air. Originally, I wanted to do fresh air with a PH, and now I'm thinking that's not. It's better how we have it with the F. Uh, but yeah, so that was my idea. It just I don't remember exactly how I came up with it. It just kind of organically came with like combining those ideas of the high flying moves and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air type look that we had. And everyone I pitched the name to was like, "Hey, what do you think of Fresh Air?" They're like, "Oh, that's a cool name. I like that. Like it's unique. Like it describes you guys." Junior hated it. I don't know what Junior just didn't like the name when I first pitched it to him. He's like, "Oh, I think we could do better. I think we could do better." And then fast forward to 2021 when we start tagging on shows, and they're like, "What's your tag team name?" Like, I go to Junior's like, "Do you have anything else?" He's like, "No." It's like, "Well, we're going as Fresh Air," and then it just kind of clicked, and now Junior loves the name, and so do I, and I feel like it's very suiting for us.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Has there been any talk of bringing Fresh Air on a more regular basis to GCW? Because I think you guys would fit in perfectly as regular wrestlers in that promotion.
There hasn't been any recent talks. I do know that there are people who speak highly of us. Main event from New York, Wasted Youth, Marcus Mathers, Dylan McKay. We just did a show for Marcus, his All I Want show. We
Yeah.
replaced a team, and I feel like we had a real standout performance in that show. And, you know, I think the more US bookings that we get and the more that we get our name out there, the I think that's when the opportunity will arise because obviously GCW is a stacked and loaded roster, and there's a lot of people who fight for that spot. And I think, the more that we get our name out there, the more that people see us, that I think that will kind of organically push us into that spot.
Would you do a death match for GCW? Could you see yourself taking a pizza cutter across the forehead or going through a plate of glass? Sorry to put you on
The
the spot there, man.
That's okay. Uh, you know, The money would have to be right.
Okay.
I think that that's my thing. I mean, I I have a lot of respect for death matches. I see what people put themselves through, and I know they love it. And to anyone who disses on deathmatch wrestling or says it doesn't belong in wrestling, I tell them, you know what? Shut up, right? Like wrestling is so cool that it can appeal to such a diverse market and like a huge market where people like their technical, people like their high flying, people like their spot fest, people like their storytelling, people like their death matches. And so that's why I love deathmatch wrestling. Um, but in terms of like doing light tubes,
Yeah,
glass,
yeah.
I could see myself doing thumbtacks. I think like, maybe thumbtacks, maybe barbed wire.
Okay.
Maybe that's like the cusp of what I'm willing to do for deathmatch. Now, granted, we could have the same conversation a year from now, and there could be scars all up on my
And you
forehead.
could
Who
be the
knows?
the new deathmatch king of GCW.
I could be the Death Stepper. Who knows? But for now, it's not for me right now.
I
It's
think
not for
hot
me.
I think hot death would be a better name.
Hot death.
The Death Stepper, hot stuff. Okay, well, hopefully you won't have all those scars on your forehead, man.
Exactly.
Um, so why do you think you and Junior have such great chemistry? I know you guys have known each other for such a long time, but why do you think you guys have such great chemistry?
You know, I think it's easy to say that, we train together, we spend a lot of time together, in terms of a wrestling sense, but I think honestly it's just the bond that we have that, it's the time that we spend outside of the wrestling ring. Like it's the drives in the car, it's us just hanging out and talking. It's us after a show, we're hanging out at a restaurant or something like that. I think it's those moments that kind of get us closer, just because when we're together, like it's just a time. Like there'll be times where we're just being super silly, we're being over the top, and
Mhm.
everyone's like, "Who are these freaking Canadians just like losing their mind over here?" Or and sometimes we get annoyed with each other, and but then sometimes we do it on purpose to annoy the person. And so I think it's just that like constant like back and forth and camaraderie that we have that is the reason that everything flows so nicely together. And then just he's my best friend, and like I love him, and there's nothing that I wouldn't do for him. I would go to the ends of the earth for him. Um, I haven't seen many people shit on Junior. Sorry, am I allowed to swear?
It's okay. It's okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, I'll keep it to a minimum. Um, but if anyone did, I would go all mama bear. I would go and like, hey,
Yeah.
that's my best friend. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Hot death's coming to get you. But yeah, I think it's those moments outside of the ring that really is the reason that we, not just from a wrestling sense, but like a character sense, that we just flow so nicely together.
I tell you, hot death. That name's gonna stick. That name's gonna be. You're gonna
It's
be
gonna
hot.
stick.
That's gonna stick, man. You mentioned car trips to the USA. Do you have any good road trip stories that you could share? Like any funny road trip stories or scary road
I
trip stories?
there are a few funny road trip stories. Um, so there was what back in April actually we were driving to we drove to Connecticut for interspecies.
Okay.
And while driving home, like we wanted to stay awake. We wanted to, just be awake on the road. So we thought it'd be funny to FaceTime Dark Horse Dexter Doom, who's a local wrestler.
Okay.
Um, we FaceTime him as we're singing the song "Lips of an Angel" by Hinder, which it's a song that he hates because he's heard it so much and like it gets stuck in his head. So we FaceTimed him, and then he answers it, and we're all going, "My girl's in the next room." Like we're going over the top, and then He just hangs up. And then we tried it again later and like, okay, he's not gonna fall for it. So then we decided to FaceTime other people. So we were literally just FaceTiming random people and then starting singing Lips of an Angel to them. We called it hindering. So we did it to Mark Wheeler, we did it to Myung Jae Lee, we did it to Razor Wing in the States, Sean Henderson, like Jeff Cannonball, Tara Caller, like the list goes on. We just kept FaceTiming people. It was like cold calling. Like we just kept as many people as we could and just starting Lips of an Angel. So now that's kind of grown where like I heard recently Puff and Myung Jae Lee uh did it to the promoter of Interspecies, Mike Roch, and sometimes I'll FaceTime Mike and I'll start singing it. It's like it's now grown outside of just that car. So that's cool. The other one was same road trip. That was kind of funny. Was when we get to the border and we say like, "Hey, we're going down to wrestle. We're not getting paid." Blah blah blah. And there's three border agents in there for some reason, and the young one is laughing like he is losing his mind laughing that
Okay.
you just had a car of five wrestlers just like going down there. And the lead, I'll say the lead agent, he's like, so what are your names? And then I start going, oh well, my name's Macrae Martin. It's like, no. What are your names? I was like, oh, I get it. So I was like, okay, well, I'm the hot stepper, Macrae Martin. This is the big boy, Junior Benito. And he goes, but he's the smallest guy in the car. I'm like, there you go, you get the joke. And then that's the man with no name, Cecil Nix. He's like, but that's a name. And like, there's the joke. And then we had the mad lad, Thomas LeDuc, and then we finished with Mike Roch. And so like these agents are like losing their mind laughing, and they're like, all right, go in, have fun, guys. It was just funny. He's like, they didn't ask us like what we had in the car, had trucks, anything. Like they were laughing so hard. They're like, go, just have fun.
They're probably
So that was like
probably professional wrestling fans. That's why.
maybe,
Yeah.
but I think it might be, you know, it's the key for that is always being like, and you could listen to any like vet, like Canadian vet who like had to drive through the border. They'll say the same thing of like, you want to look pathetic, you want to like just make yourself look like a bit of a loser so they feel bad for you, so they just let you through. So I'm like, I always drive my mom's car. I'm always like, oh, I'm a professional wrestler. Like Hulk Hogan. And so that always kind of sparks it. And they're like, all right, go on through.
Okay. All right, man. So we talked about tag team wrestling. You're also enjoying success as a singles wrestler. You're holding multiple titles right now. It's going to be a great feeling when a promoter or a owner of a company decides that you're going to be the top guy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a trust in it's putting a trust in me, and I admire that a lot where I have cultivated this work of art that is now being noticed and respected by promoters and other wrestlers to the point where they're like, "Hey, we want you to be our top guy. We want you to be our main event guy," which means those are the biggest matches. Those are the last show. That's the last match on the card where a lot of times that crowd has seen a lot of wrestling. They're tired, and so now it's up to you to keep them alive for that last match. Um, and just honestly, just being a representative of the company and brand. And I mean, I'll get tired in the physical sense because oh my gosh, like the Seaway belt is super heavy. So when I'm carrying it in my bag, I'm like, oh my God. But I'll never get tired of a promotion giving that trust in me. I'm like that makes me feel like I'm doing something right. That the the matches I'm putting on, the stories I'm telling, like it's gaining it's what's the word? Like it's being well received. And
Okay.
yeah. So I hope to continue winning belts. 2023 has been a very good and very busy year for me. And I hope
Well, there's plenty of belts in your future. Trust me. Plenty of belts in
Thank
your
you.
future. And now you mentioned COA Family Wrestling. You defended the title against Dirty Dango. Successfully defended the title. Now you were on a podcast with him, I think maybe 1, 2 years ago, and now you're stepping in the ring with him. What was it like stepping in the ring? And I think you greatly admire Dirty Dango. What was it like stepping in the ring with him?
Uh, Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Uh, he he is someone who I looked up to, not in the sense of our characters, but in his reinvention. So, I mean, as a dancer watching wrestling, I pick up on all the little things. I'm like, okay, they're not a real dancer. Okay, their technique is off, blah 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 blah.
Okay.
And but that's the thing with dancing gimmicks is that we all kind of get grouped together. When for me, I'm like, I'm a legit dancer, guys. Like, I can actually do it. But the thing I respected with Dango, which is how I kind of felt in my early, like pre-pandemic stages of my career, was I was starting to get kind of pigeonholed into a comedy character. And as much and like I do love comedy wrestling, and apply, little bits of comedy here and there in my wrestling, but it's not the thing that drew me to wrestling. What drew me to wrestling was the combat. And seeing Dango, he got injured. He came back. He was still Fandango, but he reinvented the character, and it was like this new light that he had, where it's like, all right, I did my shtick, I did all that. Now I'm here to win belts. Like now I'm here to make my money, and that's kind of how I felt with when we came back from the pandemic. It's like, all right, I need a new look. I need a new look. I can still do the hot stepper character, but I need to show that progression. I need to step up my game. And it was him that really inspired me to do that. And it helped me figure out how I can get the best of both worlds with a character and wrestler. So, you know, working with someone that you watch growing up, like I can't describe it. Like it was so cool. And he was a great guy. Like everything, like he was down to earth. He gave me advice, planning the match, like everything was awesome. And I hope I get to work with him again. Maybe, fresh air versus Dirty Dango and Tyler Breeze.
You
I'm
just
just saying.
answered my next question, man.
I answered your next.
My next question was Dirty Dango teaming with Tyler Breeze as Dirty Breeze. It only makes sense. Fresh Air versus Dirty Breeze.
uh, you know what? It just clued in how well those names coincide.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, man. I would love that match. Absolutely. And also like huge Tyler Breeze fan. So like, man, I want that match more than anything now.
Oh man, I'm sure it'll happen. Maybe it'll happen at GCW. You never know. Or I don't know if Dirty Dango signed with Impact Wrestling. I don't know if he could appear for GCW, but it'll happen. It'll happen, man.
It will happen.
It will
It
happen.
will happen.
Speaking of Impact Wrestling, any have you ever heard have you ever heard from Impact Wrestling? I know they've been in Windsor a few times. Any possible talk with Impact Wrestling? You would be terrific addition to that roster, man.
Oh, thank you. I haven't heard any talks.
Okay.
I do have some contacts there that um I can reach out to, but no, I haven't heard anything. But you know what? I something that I'm hoping to do before the year ends is going down to Windsor just to train at the Can-Am school for maybe a week or something.
Okay.
I know Josh Alexander, he just was named the head
Yeah.
trainer there.
Yep. Hmm.
So I would love to go down there and just I mean I've wrestled Josh and I've learned from him from getting advice at shows, but I've never been in a class with it. Well, I've done a seminar, but I've never been in like an actual class with him. So it'd be cool to learn from him. And also I haven't seen the man since March of last year when he
Okay.
came for C4. So yeah, that I think that'd be really cool, and I think that'd also be a good opportunity for me to get seen by potentially Scott Demore and Josh, and just kind of get my name out there.
Well, if you do come to Windsor, I would expect you to let me
That's your
know.
backyard.
Yeah,
That's your backyard.
I'm 10 minutes away from where you would be training, man. So
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you
So,
would
all right.
you let me know when if you're coming down, man.
I will let you know.
All right, I just got the notification. We're running short on time. So I'll ask you two more questions. Is getting to Japan a goal? I know a lot of wrestlers want to get to Japan. Would you have a promotion in mind, like All Japan Pro Wrestling, Noah, DDT Pro, New Japan Pro Wrestling? Matt Cardona just wrestled for DDT Pro. Nick Wayne just wrestled for DDT Pro as
Mhm.
well. Is there a promotion in Japan that you hope to get to?
From a dream standpoint, New Japan for sure.
Okay.
But you know what? I will be grateful for any opportunity I get to go to Japan. I have thought about also going to the LA dojo at
Okay.
some point. But I know that the physical conditioning is intense. So I wanna bring myself up. I know I'm close to there, but I want to bring myself to that extra level so that when I show up, I'm like, all right, I'm here to eat, sleep, and breathe wrestling. So I think that'd also be a cool opportunity to also kind of get my foot in the door for New Japan.
Okay. Last question. Hope I don't put you on the spot here. Who is your Mount Rushmore of professional wrestlers?
Oh my gosh.
If you can answer it, I understand. I understand.
It's you know what? It's funny because I have this conversation a lot with people and I
Okay.
say like the Mount Rushmore, there's not enough heads. And I think that's
Okay.
just because there's been so many influential players in wrestling. Like you could probably do a Mount Rushmore for every era of pro wrestling,
True. True.
and you could do a Mount Rushmore for ECW. You could do a Mount Rushmore for Impact, for maybe not AEW yet. I think it's still a baby, but once
Okay.
that grows, uh, but from doing a Mount Rushmore, I think you have to go Hulk Hogan for sure.
Okay.
Like, he is the man. John Cena,
Okay.
The Rock, Hulk, John Cena, The Rock. And like I mean, I'm gonna there's like and you know what? I'm already missing. Like there's Shawn Michaels, there's Taker, there's Triple H, there's all these guys. But I think like I'm gonna do a modern era, I'm gonna do Roman, right?
Okay.
And like you kind of got like I'm gonna do for one for each era. So I'm gonna you put Hogan, you put Cena. You know what? I'm gonna put Stone Cold. I'm gonna put Stone Cold for
Okay.
attitude. I think
Okay.
I'm gonna
There you go.
switch out Rock for Stone Cold. You have Cena, and then I'm gonna say right now Roman. So I'm gonna have one for each kind of like mainstay era, and again, like that's right. That's the tricky part about Rushmore. You got four. Yeah, like yeah. All right, pick four of the most influential wrestlers of all time. And like there's so
Yeah.
many.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those I would say like for like the representation of each era would probably be those four in my opinion.
Okay. Just for the record, I would have Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan, Bruno Sammartino, and I would probably go either Stone Cold or The Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right and that's the thing. Like again, yeah, Bruno Sammartino, like the
Yeah.
longest reigning champion of all time.
Or maybe Ric
It
Flair. Ric Flair could be in there. Could be on there also.
that was another one I was thinking of
Yeah.
was Ric Flair. It's like
Yeah.
we need like seven Mount Rushmores
There you go,
to
man.
like properly can properly compel like here are the main players of pro wrestling.
There you go,
And
man.
then you can even go indies too. Oh my
Of
God, there's
course,
so many.
man. So many, man. All right, man. So before we wrap it up, anything you want to plug? Any merchandise? I know you have an upcoming match today. Any matches coming up? Just plug away. Social media, anything you want, man.
Yeah, you're right. I got a match today defending the O Summit de la Lutte Championship.
Okay.
Uh, what other matches I have? I have a few US bookings coming up in the
Okay.
future.
Okay.
At NFW in September, as well as ETU, which is they have a big show happening in Newark, New Jersey, which Junior and I just got booked on.
Okay.
I'll be honest, it's a pretty slow August. We have C4 fighting back, our annual cancer fundraiser on August 18th.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a bit of a slow August right now. I only have two bookings. I kind of like that right now.
Okay.
It's been very busy.
Yep.
Uh, but yeah, other than that, you can follow me. at the Hot Stepper PW on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I don't have an online store yet. Every podcast I do, I say I'm working on it. I lied. I have not been working on it, but
Okay, okay,
I'm going to work on
okay.
it. But if you see me at shows, I got shirts, stickers, I got bucket hats now. I got bucket hats. The request has been asked.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, also, support myself and Junior, Fresh Air. We're an up and coming tag team that we want to be seen all over the world.
And you guys will be. You guys will be. All right, man. So I want to thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Let's just do this again real soon. Good luck in the future. I know I told you this before. You have a very long, bright future ahead of you in the world of professional wrestling. And anytime you want to come back, man, let's do this again.
Thank you, sir. If I come to Windsor, we're doing it in person.
Oh my
We're
God!
doing it
If you're gonna be in right where you're gonna be sitting right next to me
right next to you
right
with a
here in
with a real microphone.
absolutely, man. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. I'm gonna hold you to that, man.
I got you.
All right, man. So enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.
All right, talk to you, man.
All
Thank
right,
you
take
so
care. Bye
much.
bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.